Welcome back. I'm glad you're still with us here on Morning at NTV. Time to have the conversation, taking note of fostering a collaboration to address environmental challenges. This is in line with the upcoming World Environment Day, which is on the 5th of June. I'll be introducing my guest very shortly, but let me first give you a preamble. In 1972, the United Nations General Assembly designated the 5th of June as World Environment Day. The first celebration under the slogan, Only One Earth, took place in 1973. In the following years, World Environment Day has developed as a platform to raise awareness on the problems facing our environment, such as air pollution, plastic pollution, and, of late, climate change. The 2024 edition of the World Environment Day will focus on land restoration, desertification, and drought resilience under the slogan, Our Land, Our Future, that is on the part of the globe. We are a generation restoration. As we go into the 30th anniversary of the UN Convention to Combat Desertification, according to the convention, up to 40% of the planet's land is degraded. Uganda is preparing to celebrate the day, and right now we have with us Francis Ogwal, a Senior Manager for Environment at the National Environment Management Authority, NEMA. A very warm welcome to the program.
Thank you. I think you have done a very good introduction. Yes, please.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm humbled by that. Now, in light of the World Environment Day, which is upcoming on the 5th of June, there's a lot of anticipation on how the celebrations will go on, but we shall get into that and exactly where those celebrations will be held. But if you don't mind, take us through what the impetus is when it comes to ensuring that collaboration is achieved effectively in addressing some of the challenges that we face in as far as the environment is concerned.
Thank you very much. First, again, let me say that you've given us a very good background to World Environment Day, and to find that you colleagues in the media can give that kind of background, that is encouraging, because we need people to know some of these things so that when you're explaining to the public, they actually understand what we're talking about.
That's right.
Now, environment management, first of all, by law, the principal government agency for that is the National Environment Management Authority. So we supervise, we coordinate, we monitor, and we regulate all activities in the field of environment. But environment being broad as it is, we don't do that alone.
That's
so
right.
we have got other players, what we call the lead agencies, because there are so many sectors that their activities actually impact on the environment. For example, you may be talking about the transport sector, the energy sector, health, agriculture, and so many others. So all those, they carry out their duties, but sometimes what they're doing impacts on the environment. So we work with them. They manage the sections of the environment that falls under their jurisdiction. So for us, our role is, as I said, to coordinate, regulate, monitor, and work with those stakeholders so that the environment is better managed. Now, when it comes to World Environment Day, again, you cannot do all these activities alone.
That's right.
Because we need a number of players to come on board. So what we do first, when the World Environment Day is coming up, we wait for what we call the National Environment Organizing Committee to be established. Now, the starting point is to wait for UNEP, that is United Nations Environment Program, to come up with that global theme, which you've just given us, land restoration, desertification, and drought resilience. We are being hosted by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Now, having heard from UNEP what the global theme is, we then sit with the National Organizing Committee to craft these stakeholders, to come up with a national theme that relates to the one that is global. And that's why for us this year, the national theme is land restoration for climate resilience. That is, the celebration is going to be around that. You may ask yourself, why land restoration?
Yeah, you just preempted my question.
Yes, because almost everything we do is on land. Everything almost we do in life is on land, whether it is agriculture, whether it is infrastructure, whether it is, name it. It is on
business activity on
everything. the roads, everything is on land, meaning there's a lot of pressure that is on land. But for this particular World Environment Day, we are going to be in Sironko. Sironko is in the Mount Elgon region. Now, when you look at that landscape, it is a hilly area, densely populated, and there are activities going on, especially agriculture. People have to really, grow food, to live, to earn a living, and many other aspects. But as that is happening, because of the high population increment, so people are settling in those areas that they shouldn't settle.
That is right.
The slopes, which are very, very fragile, and therefore they are more prone to disasters such as flash floods, such as landslides. Because you see, the way nature was designed by God was that the mountainous areas have got unique vegetation, have got unique trees, grass, that holds the soil intact.
That's right.
Now, as human beings go and settle there and begin cultivating, you make the soil loose. So maybe in the first season, the soil may not be as weak.
That's
but as you continue to cultivate,
progressively,
yes, then it is just too weak. So when it rains, we see the flash floods, we see the landslides. And that is why we want to focus there, to tell the local communities that if we can restore this place, if we can plant them with the right tree species, this soil can again be held firmly, and in future we expect that there will be less impact of the either flash floods or the landslides. So right now people are so vulnerable. Each time it rains, when you're on that side of the Mount Elgon region, you are actually like waiting for what is the next news you're going to hear. We are losing lives, we are losing property, infrastructure. So time has come for us to really know that we only can survive better on this planet if we live in harmony with nature. Being reckless towards nature, we are going to be the biggest losers. And when nature starts, reacting, when it starts now impacting on us, sometimes even the most powerful nations in this world have nothing, they can't. You've seen recently what was happening in Western Uganda, the video and others, Kasese, people trying to now survive or at least rescue their lives from the floods that was happening.
I'm glad you do emphasize the urgency of restoring land in order to mitigate the occurrence of adverse effects of climate change. But let me bring this conversation closer, especially within the urban areas and Kampala in particular. When it rains, the flash floods within our suburbs completely inundate many of the roads, the houses, and the commercial buildings in the city. And it has been cited that most of this is happening because there has been unplanned developments, and that many of the catchment areas that are supposed to trap some of this water have been encroached on. Whether NEMA is actually doing the job in ensuring that the encroachers are brought to book is also debatable. I hope in your submission you can be able to reassure the nation. But the frequency with which this is happening points to a lack of the authorities, and you spoke about lead agencies that NEMA may be working under. Let's say the government as the aegis, the umbrella. The incidence of flash floods is rampant. And we cannot sit back anytime now and assume that things are going to work themselves out. There must be concerted effort. NEMA must come out with full force as your mandate has it to arrest this situation.
Yes, thank you. First, let me say this. Let's change our attitude towards the environment. You see, every action that we take at individual level is what is worsening the impacts that we see on the environment. In Kampala here, you find people going to settle where water should be resident, where water should actually be contained or at least kept for a while before it flows. I'm talking about the wetlands, which you are mentioning.
The wetlands,
And the most disturbing fact here is those who are settling in wetlands are not poor people. So when you're talking about dealing with the environmental challenge that we're having, first let the educated, let the well-off people leave wetlands. Why are they so interested going to settle in a floodplain, in an area that God so designed that this hill area of Kampala, as you see it, as you've said it, it will rain, some of the water will go, of course, down to the valleys, and that water then would be, the wetlands will play their part in containing the water before it goes into the lake. It is now worse because even the hills, people have settled there. And therefore, any little rain, the water actually comes down maybe to the center, to the city here, and then down to the wetland areas, which most of it is now settled. So, mindset change.
Mindset change.
Yeah, we cannot keep policing everyone. How have you succeeded in this world that if today, for example, there were thieves, like we know them, in most parts of either they sit on, and the population is not cooperating, would the law enforcement agency really manage that? But why is it that somehow we contain that? It is because the population gets more involved in it. So let's change our mindset. Let's look at the environment as something that all of us have a duty to play. Of course, I'm not saying NEMA is not going to play its role. Yeah. And you're going to see a change that's going to keep coming in NEMA. Right now, we are recruiting what is now called the Environment Protection Force, a force that we are going to be directly in charge of. Now we have 40 of them. By June, we could have about, June next year, we could have about 150 of them, but the number will keep increasing as time goes on, depending on how government support comes in. That force is going to help us to really carry out enforcement to protect the environment.
I'm afraid we're going to have to stay on that point a little bit, a little more. You talk about policing and what you can do within your means. When you appeal to the educated and the rich to think before they buy land in such areas, that is a nullity, because people have their reasons as to why they want to develop whatever businesses they want to put there.
Yes.
And it's within the mandate, because you have the tools, the legal tools to act. And what is happening, and this is a very uncomfortable position, is that NEMA has been seen to shut its eye to the rich and the educated who want to occupy these areas.
I think that's just, as you said, NEMA has been seen, but we don't do that. We enforce the law equally. So when people see things may be happening, sometimes they create their own stories, but I am not aware of any government agency that will choose to implement or carry out its mandate selectively, because the law is very clear. If you don't have a letter that is or approval from NEMA to carry out any such activities, it is an illegal activity, and therefore the law comes in. The problem we have in this country is that the level of environmental regulation is so high. Even the little success that NEMA is making, people don't seem to see it. People don't seem to, they're seeing much more of the problem.
You can't really blame them, because we tend to focus on the challenges that we face and most of the time we assume the positives are a given as citizens and as taxpayers. We assume that is a given. It's what's supposed to see, it's what's supposed to roll out. Now when the challenges are not addressed as effectively as they are, people begin to question. And ahead of World Environment Day, I think, would we be extreme as the media, for example, to ask NEMA to start a name and shame campaign? Those who are in wetlands illegally, those who have failed to heed to notices for eviction, and those that are deliberately failing your job by collaborating either with powers above. Is a name and shame scheme something that you can undertake?
Yeah, I think that is already ongoing, because you see, in the world of social media today, what can you do and is not known? If you follow a lot of what's happening in social media, people are being exposed, and sometimes also we get some alerts of this and this is happening in such and such a place. So going through that route, I think it's okay. For me, as I said, we need people to change their minds. If people are not willing to change their mind because they still think they can handle the environment recklessly in the way they want, so that should not be a problem, as long as it will really let these people know that there is a high risk of you now being exposed to the public. There are some people who want to protect their image. They will do that.
All right. In a minute, very quickly, what activities can the average Ugandan who is gearing up for World Environment Day be part of that you have?
I only have a minute.
Yeah.
Oh my. Okay. First, I have to tell you that land restoration, as I said, land is for all of us. We are on land at any given moment. So
that's right.
Let's all get involved in making sure that the land where we are, where we are staying, if it is degraded, let's plant trees there. Let's learn to keep it clean. A clean environment protects you in a number of ways. It reduces your medical bills because you are less sick.
Yeah.
So let's all get involved in tree planting as we gear towards the World Environment Day.
Yeah, it reduces your medical bills to stay in a clean environment. Thus, how messaging is effective ahead of World Environment Day, which is on the 5th of June. Many thanks, Francis Ogwal, Senior Manager Environment at the National Environment Management Authority.